Greetings. I'm here on a Saturday doing one of my favorite things, one of my very favorite things, and I have been thinking about, I had a couple things on my mind, and I thought, this would be a good video maybe to share with some of you. Some of you might not be interested, but I think most of you will be. I am in the process of beginning my garden, my summer garden. This is my summer garden, starting in February, I know. But if any of you have your own garden, you probably know that this is the time of the year where all the catalogs come out and all the new seed catalogs for the year come out, and everybody starts, those of you particularly who live in climates where there's a lot still snow on the ground maybe, or still cold, you are in the process of doing some planning for your garden. I remember those days well, before we moved here to California. But even here in California, it's still cold. I mean, it's not, I won't say it's cold, that's sort of a lie by everybody's standards, but it's in the 70s today. But it's nice and cold at night. It's really cold, and the daytime temperatures have been often days in the 60s, and by our standards, it is cold. We've had some temperatures dip down into the 40s at night, and it's too cold for a lot of plants to be put in the garden at this time. There's not enough sun, and the ground is just too cold for plants. But so most of us, for summer garden, we do a lot of the planting and a lot of the starting that garden, getting a head start indoors. No matter what your climate, you're able to do that. And that's what I'm doing today. But while I was doing it, I just thought I would maybe share what I'm doing, but also talk to you a little bit about another reason I'm really excited about this day is this is one of the times of the year that is just about everybody's favorite. I won't say that spring is my absolute favorite time of the year because I think I'm a summer person. My birthday's in the summer. My season is summer. My birthday starts the beginning of summer, and in reality, excuse me, I've been fighting a cough, a cold. I had a terrible cold the last couple of weeks, and I have the lingerings of a cough that will not go away. So apologize, I have a cough drop in my mouth so that I don't lose my voice. Try not to lose my voice. I hope I don't cough my way through the video, but I wanted to make it anyway. I was saying that summer is really my favorite time of the year, but I don't think there's a person alive that doesn't love spring. I have a special fondness for spring, and getting into the season of Imbolc on the wheel of the year at the beginning of this month, beginning of February. That is when the very beginnings of spring start showing the sign. If you live in the East Coast, Pennsylvania particularly, I send greetings to Punxsutawney Phil. I had fond memories of Punxsutawney Phil, who comes out on the 2nd of February and looks for his shadow and determines if it will be an early spring or a long winter. And but Punxsutawney Phil, the groundhog, is not the only sign to indicate whether there will be spring or not. We start to see it going. You start to see the crocuses. I remember the crocuses popping up out of the snow, and some of the early flowers beginning to show blooms. Here in California, we have the same kind of thing. It's not necessarily crocuses coming out of snow, but we do have like the nasturtiums going wild, blooming. And just the other day, my husband brought me in this rose. I was terrifically excited about it. I don't know if you can see it. It has like 1 billion petals. And this was on a bush. Oh, and it smells so wonderful. It's an old-fashioned rose smell. I don't know the variety, but we just have a few rose bushes. We're not really very good with flowers yet. We're learning flowers. But the rose bush I had thought was long dead. I really had thought the bush was dead. Well, it showed me it is not dead, and it burst this beautiful, beautiful blossom the other day. So he brought that in, cut that in. When I came out for breakfast, it was sitting here on the table for me. But we start to see the signs of spring. We hear the birds. The birds are going nuts, and they're just going crazy and with their nests, and all the signs of spring are around. Okay. Well, while I'm studying my seeds, I want to tell you, I'm starting a different kind of a project, not just my garden project, this Imbolc, but I'm starting on a journey, a personal journey, so to speak, that I wanted to share with you while I was doing this. And I'm calling it's something I just sort of made up. It's called the Journey of 300 Days. The Journey of 300 Days. What is that about? Well, let me give you a little background of the story. I was doing a lot of thinking at Imbolc. Over Imbolc, I was at a retreat. That's a retreat, and we were at a retreat with some friends, and I was doing a lot of meditating and thinking how, it's sort of a year. It marks a year for me every time when I go to this retreat. Another year has passed, and I like to say to myself, what would I like to be different? How am I different from that I was 1 year from ago, and now how I am now, and what would I like to see a year from now in the future? When I return next year in 2021, what would I like to see have changed, if anything, in my life? Now, it sort of sounds like a New Year's resolution, doesn't it? Well, I don't think of it as a New Year's resolution, because a New Year's resolution, I don't like those, and most people don't like them. Every New Year's, they or whatever time of the year, maybe it's their birthday, or whatever time is significance to them, excuse me, they make a resolution that this year I will blank. One of the most common is this year I will lose weight. This year I will quit smoking. This year I will be kinder to my husband, whatever. And let's say you decided to quit smoking, and you start out, one of two things either happens. Okay? You start out and you have a couple of days, maybe a week, where you don't smoke. You make a big, you publicly proclaim, I quit smoking. I'm quitting smoking. You quit smoking. On New Year's, you don't have any cigarette. Maybe a couple of days might go past. Maybe a week might go past, but something's going to happen and trigger you. And all of a sudden, you go back and you're smoking again. And then you just resign and you give in. And that resolution, well, that didn't work. That didn't work. And you go back to your old ways. Another thing that might happen is you say, I will next year. By next year, I'm going to be 10 pounds lighter. I'm going to lose 10 pounds this year. And you start out and you maybe have a couple good days of eating. And then somebody brings a cake to work and you eat the cake. And then, you might have another good couple of days. I'm not going to have anything this week. No candy or cake for me all week. And then, it's somebody's birthday. And there you have somebody's cake or whatever. You get the picture. Something always happens. Something happens that you're completely, not your fault. You were just a victim. You fall into the trap and you eat the cake. And pretty soon you just kind of put off the resolution, put it off. By the time, pretty soon you just forget about it. A year comes around, you may go to New Year's again. You've not only did not lose 10 pounds, but you gained 5 more. That's kind of what happens to people, isn't it? And we get so disgusted with ourselves, and we tear ourselves up over it. It never works. So this is not that kind of a journey. I was thinking about it. If I really wanted to be different, if I wanted a change to take place, what would it be now 1 year from today? I was thinking at Imbolc, what would my life be like? What kind of changes might I want to make? I was thinking, that's 365 days. That is well over 300 days. That seems like a long, long time. Well, we know it comes upon us really quickly. But it seems like a really long time. But, something about that 300 number just stuck in my head. And I'm thinking, 300, If I did something for 300 days only, that would leave 65 days where I could really mess up. 65 days where I could eat that cake or smoke that cigarette or drink that second glass of wine or whatever it is I wanted to give up or change in my life. It would give me 65 days that I could fail. It had failure, allowing yourself to fail, allowing yourself to slack off. It gave you permission to do that. And I was thinking about that because that's actually the way I quit smoking. I did smoke years and years ago, but I smoked for a long part of my life. And I really had tried to give up smoking a couple of times. Complete failure. And all of a sudden I quit. I was sick actually, and I hadn't had a cigarette. And I was starting to feel well enough, and I wanted another cigarette. And when I realized I hadn't had one for a couple of weeks, I think. And I said to my husband, "Would you give me a cigarette? I feel like a cigarette." He said, "I'm not giving you a cigarette. You haven't had a cigarette in 2 weeks. You don't have a reason to have a cigarette." So I said, "Well, that sounded pretty difficult for me. So I have to allow myself to fail. I'm afraid of failure." So I gave myself permission. If I ever felt the need to have another cigarette, I would allow myself to have one. And I kept a pack of cigarettes and an ashtray and a lighter. Even the cigarette, I think, was in the ashtray, sitting inside of my little desk. And it sat like that, I don't know how many years. If I would have lit up that cigarette, it would have, I can't imagine how it would have blown up because it was so dried out by then. But I gave myself permission to do it, and I never needed it. Just knowing that I could, but I don't need it right now. But if I want it later, I could always go get it later. Just knowing that I could do that helped me to quit. So I was thinking 300 days of a year. If I had a journey for 300 days, I could follow the rules. That would give me 65 days that I didn't have to follow the rules. And I'm wondering how that's going to work for me. Now, I'm not going to share with you what my journey is because it's really personal, and it's not important to you what my journey is. It's important to me. But I wanted to make sure I did this publicly because I thought it would give you a chance if you want to do something similar. You might like the idea. But also, I want to make another video a year from now and to just check and see if it worked. So that's one reason I want to share. But the other reason I want to share it is time of the year. It is such a cool thing because Imbolc is all about the fulfillment of the promise, the fulfillment of something that is going to change, that fulfillment that after the death, the dying that happened at harvest, at Lammas, when our plants all died and they returned to the earth and the leaves fell from the tree and the plants expired and gave up their seed and we collected those seeds. Excuse me. And we collected the seeds. And I have quite a few seeds in here that I've collected. These are peas from my garden. Here's squash. Here's bok choy. Here's arugula. Zucchini. You see, I've got seeds all over the place. Green. I have sorrel. All kinds of seeds. Tomatoes. I've got some in here. Tomatoes. A couple kinds of my heirloom tomatoes that I like so much. Stinging nettle. All those seeds that were given up by the plants as they died, we collected the seeds and we've kept. And the promise is, you put them back in the earth, and as the earth renews itself in the spring, at Imbolc time, the earth is renewing itself and giving forth once again life. And that's exactly what we did. I think these are peas. We planted some peas. I'm going to say 5 days ago, something like that, 5-6 days ago. And we just had a little pot like this, a little fiber pot, filled with some potting soil, and planted 3 little seeds. And here we have 3 little, I don't know if you can see. Can you see? 3 little sprouts. So eager to come back, so eager to return, so eager to grow. And I just put them in this cup here so I could water them. But I want to show you this one. It got so excited. It's even growing as a root out the bottom. It was so excited to grow. I don't know if you can see because I'm pretty far from the camera, but I hope you can. Okay, so they sprouted, and now we just have them on the windowsill. And these are going to grow. And when they get big enough, a little bit bigger, the soil will then be warm enough, and we'll be able to put that out into the garden. Okay, so that's what I'm doing today. I'm really actually celebrating the celebrating the promise made to us at autumn, when the light goes away and the light is fading and fades down to just a little bit of light at Yule time. Now as the light's starting to return after Yule has passed and the earth is starting to warm up again, life is going to emerge. Life is starting to emerge, and it's getting ready to take our plants to give us whole new life. Okay, so just like that, I'm doing the same kind of thing with Imbolc. I am taking the seeds of my desires and I'm planting my intentions. And I'm going to be able to see, if I take these steps, I'm going to be able to see the changes, just like I'm seeing the changes in my garden. I should be able to. I'm going to be recording them in my, also in my journal, my bullet journal. I decided, I don't know, I hope you can see, I have little footprints. I got this stamp I'm going to put on any page where I am counting, any page of the 300 will have some stamps on it. I got some little stamps at Michael's, which are actually baby, can't find too many kind of stamps, but they're meant for babies. They're little baby footprints, you know, the kind that they put on the baby's birth certificate or whatever. But, so they're obviously baby feet. But I thought that was appropriate because it is baby steps going toward a goal. You have to take little baby steps. It's all about the little steps. 300 little steps. If I have, 300 days, there's about 300 days between Imbolc at the beginning of February and Thanksgiving. It's about 300 days. That's how, if you did something every day, you don't have to do it at Thanksgiving. You can make a 300-day change. But by giving yourselves 2 more months, that extra, excuse me, about 65 days, to slack off, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything for 2 days. But here comes on the 3rd day, I can count another day if I do something. Okay, so that's how I'm doing it, and I'm only doing it. It doesn't matter. You can make up your own rules and make up your own thing. But the only thing, the criteria for mine is very simple. If you're going to follow something like this, don't make it complicated. Think of what your goal is, and think of 3 things at the most. 3 things. What qualifies the day towards the thing? Okay. I'm trying to think of an example. But if you want to be able to run a marathon a year from now, you have to do it in steps. You don't just wake up in the morning and be able to run a marathon. You have to start by being able to, maybe walk before you, I think most people when they do training like that, they start out by walking. I think there's like a couch to, I don't know what it's called. I don't want to misspeak, but there's something where you start out walking, and then you do so much walking, you increase a little bit every day, and then you do walking and running, running, and then you get to the running. Okay, that's 3 different things. Okay, so you can do it like that, 3 different stages, or you can do it like, to be healthier, I'm going to drink water, 8 glasses of water a day, or whatever you're supposed to. I'm going to get 8 hours of sleep. I'm going to cut all kinds of sugar and processed foods from my diet. 3 things. Okay. If you had a day go by that you drank the water and you slept 8 hours and you didn't have any processed foods or extra added sugar, that counts as a day. Do you see the point? It has to be really simple. Something really simple like that. So give yourself a chance to succeed. Because you can't make a big change. You're not going to make a big change. It's not going to happen. Okay? Gardening is so much fun because gardening it's all done in stages. It's done in, here we have gardening all year, but 3 different kinds of gardening. I didn't put in a winter garden this year. We were busy, didn't get to it, and it was cold and rainy, and we were sick and didn't get to it. So we're going to depend on some of those crops that we usually grow in the wintertime. We're going to depend on the farmer's market for that, because we still love those vegetables a lot. That would be your broccoli and your cauliflower and your cabbages, those kind of things. But we can do a lot of things like spinach and stuff like that because it's still cool enough. So I picked up a whole bunch of these little things at like the dollar store, little pots and stuff. This one, the problem with this one is there's no holes. If you want to plant in it, you got to put some holes in the bottom so it can drain. And I have a couple gizmos here that my husband got to make my starting my seeds even easier. Well, first of all, this is something I'm also doing. If you saw my video, I don't know how many years ago, 2-3 years ago, on Earth Day, I believe it was Earth Day, that I showed my windowsill here in the kitchen, just covered with sweet potato vine, because I had been growing slips for putting sweet potatoes in the garden. And we started these slips like last week. And all we do to grow sweet potatoes, you can't grow from a seed. You can, but the best way to grow is from a slip, a sweet potato slip. And you make what they call a slip, which is a plant. But it's a plant that comes from a potato, from a sweet potato. So actually, I just stuck some skewers in the sweet potato, submerged it in water, and in a while, it'll start growing roots down at the bottom, and little plants will grow off of the sweet potato. And when they get to be about 5 or 6 inches long, then you pull those off and put those in water to root, and then when they root, that's what you plant, and that grows into sweet potatoes. I'll show you, I'll keep up with it, but excuse me. I just wanted to show you that that's something else that we're going to be able to watch. Every time I go to the sink to do my dishes or whatever, I'm going to be able to see the progress in my sweet potatoes, and look forward to them. Okay. Today I'm going to do a couple things. I'm going through the seeds to see what I want to start first. The things that take the longest to germinate and to grow, I'm going to do first right away. And I have some of these. I got some of these little pots. It's like potting soil that's compressed inside a little paper thing. And when you add water to it, this turns into this. Look at that, the difference. Turns into this. It swells up and it becomes, it's like a little portable pot that you need to pull back the paper and put a seed in the top, and then that'll grow. I have this. I'm just trying to get it a little wet enough because I want to see moisture clear up to the top. So I just keep adding water to see the moisture come up to the top. Okay. Now it doesn't have to be just seeds that, of course, you save. It can be seeds that you can buy as well. And I have my seeds all divided, and I keep them. You see the ones that I gather, I mark in bags exactly what they are and the date. This is actually a crookneck early golden summer squash, which was a pre-Columbus heirloom squash. And this is from the bok choy Chinese cabbage that we grew in 2018 that was so good. When we get a good crop of something, we like to save seeds from that. And of course, we like the heirloom tomatoes. Some of our favorite heirloom tomatoes, tie-dye and Mr. Stripey, green zebras we have, and some others in here. The Sierra Gold melon were the melons that, I even put a little star in the bag because these were something absolutely were my favorite. Now, sometimes when you save seeds of your own, you don't get what's true. You don't get just by planting a Sierra Gold melon. Doesn't mean I'm going to get exactly a Saragold melon, but I know that these seeds are pretty good, and so maybe it won't be exactly that melon, but because it might have cross-pollinated with something else in my garden, but it's probably gonna be good. If I really, really care, I can just buy seeds from the, from the organic seed stores, which most of my seeds are like that. Okay. And then I divide my seeds up, just so I have all herbs. These are all kinds of herbs in here. Keeping them, of course, waterproof, in waterproof containers. I have flower seeds and vegetable seeds and, excuse me, herb seeds. Herbs. So I'm going to be starting some things, and then I'm going to put them. I have a couple setups here that I'm going to use under the light. I have these little pea pots, but I also have. Let's see if I can get this for you, so you can see. I've got so much stuff on my table. I'm afraid I'm going to knock over my tea or something. I have this, what is called this little, my husband bought this for me. It has different pieces to it. It consists of, let's see. It consists of a tray. Comes with a cover, so you can cover it if you want. For moisture to germinate the seeds. But then it comes with a tray. It does not have holes in the bottom, and then it has an insert of these little cells, which you put soil in all the little cells. And then you water, and the water collects in the bottom, and you put it under a grow light in the house. And to get a jump start on some of the things, because my house particularly, your house might not need this, but my house does, because even though I'm in warm California, my house is cold because I don't have a furnace in my house running, and it gets really cold. I'm on a concrete slab. So I have this particular thing comes with a heating mat that you put underneath, a heat mat that you put underneath your seed things tray, and then it keeps the soil nice and warm, and it signals to those seeds it's time to start. Because remember I said, if I planted these in the ground now, the ground is too cold for a lot of them to really germinate well. I mean, some of them would, they probably would grow, but it's just really not good enough. It's not a good, we'd end up with leggy, if you don't have good conditions, you can end up with some leggy plants. Or they don't do good, or they're prone to disease if they're not nice and strong. They're prone to disease. And then of course I have a lot of these that I'm going to be putting in another container and growing. Or you can just put, of course, like I said, potting soil in something like this, or even smaller ones, or whatever kind of pots. So that's pretty cool. And then I have this cool up here, this is actually my grow light. Comes like this in a box. I got 2 of them. Can you even see that? The grow light. It's the Fairy Morse. This is Fairy Morse Company. It includes the light fixture and comes with a bulb and a stand. And you put when you put it together, this is what you end up with. Can I get any more stuff on this table? I don't know. You end up with a light like this. It's a little stand, little feet, and it has a light here. Okay. It lights up. And you put your little, whatever you have planted underneath that. So we're going to I have a room set aside in a cat-free zone for my cats to not Do not bother my seedlings. And I'm going to set up these grow lights and plant some of my seeds today, and then I will show you my setup when we're done. Okay? Anyway, hope some of this was helpful or not. I don't know if it was interesting or not, but I enjoy it, so I thought some of you might enjoy it too. Okay. Thanks for watching. I'm Rebecca, and I send you blessings.